Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that's literally foundational to all learning. Yet, honestly, it's pretty often misunderstood. We're talking about the precise science of how we learn to read and comprehend. Specifically, we're going to shine a light on the cognitive science, the research, and the exact neurological mechanics behind the reading interventions developed by READLIGHT. So if you, or maybe someone you know, has ever struggled with literacy, you're in the right place. We're going to break down exactly how targeted, evidence-based instruction actually works in the real world.
But let's start right here. Have you ever read an entire page of a book, gotten to the very last sentence, and suddenly realized you absorbed absolutely nothing? Like your eyes moved over the words, maybe you even sounded them out in your head, but the meaning completely vanished. Look, we have all been there. And here's a kind of surprising fact for you. Human brains weren't actually evolutionarily designed to read. No way. We literally have to rewire our neural pathways to do it. And this perfectly illustrates a crucial point. Reading is not just one single simple skill. It's a highly complex, multifaceted cognitive process. So when someone struggles to read, it's not some generic failure. It's a specific disconnect in that complex process.
And really, that brings us to the core concept of the READLIGHT method. Think of reading struggles like being in a pitch-black room. You know there's furniture around you, but you just keep bumping into it, right? Overcoming reading difficulties starts by shedding light on the exact root of the problem. Just like needing a flashlight in that dark room, we have to see exactly what we're dealing with before we can even try to navigate the space. So let's look at how READLIGHT actually builds that flashlight.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to look at the READLIGHT philosophy, the 8 areas of literacy, research-based reading strategies, data-driven progress monitoring, and finally, the tools for literacy success.
First up, Section 1. The READLIGHT philosophy.
Now, this program isn't just some random collection of worksheets. It was developed by award-winning educators, Dr. Rhonda Tracy and Dr. Aaron Seal, who bring over 30 years of combined professional experience to the table. And their core philosophy can be brilliantly summed up right here. The right strategy matched to the right need using the student's own academic content produces meaningful and lasting results. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that true literacy intervention, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It requires highly individualized, targeted alignment. Scientifically speaking, when a student uses their own homework, it actually reduces their cognitive load. It allows their brain to encode the strategy into long-term memory so much faster. It's a total game changer.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, 8 areas of literacy.
Now, to match the right strategy to the right need, you first have to identify that need with pinpoint accuracy. READLIGHT doesn't just guess. They use what they call the read-first assessment process. Now, what's really interesting about this approach is how it deconstructs the act of reading into distinct, measurable scientific zones. Instead of viewing literacy as one giant, terrifying challenge, they categorize it into these 8 essential areas. For example, a student might be fantastic at reading fluency, meaning, they sound great reading out loud, but they might struggle heavily with vocabulary development or their reading rate. By testing across these 8 specific vectors, and yes, that even includes a student's personal interests and motivation, the program isolates the exact cognitive gears that are sticking.
Let's actually look a bit closer at just one of those areas to see how precise this gets: expository comprehension. To de-jargonize this a bit, this simply means the cognitive ability to read and understand informational texts. Think a biology textbook or a historical document. This is fundamentally different from narrative comprehension, which is just understanding a novel or a story. So if a student is failing science, the root cause might actually be a very specific deficit in expository reading strategies, not a lack of scientific understanding. Make sense?
Moving right along to Section 3, research-based reading strategies.
Once the assessment is complete, we move into the active intervention phase. This is where the magic really happens. As we learn from their philosophy, you have to match that newly discovered need with the exact right research-based strategy. And here is the vital why behind it all. Let's say a student is struggling with that biology text we just mentioned. READLIGHT builds their comprehension strategies specifically around science-related text. If the struggle is in literature, well, the strategies are grounded in literature-rich content. By using the student's own academic content, the cognitive strategies become incredibly sticky, ensuring long-term retention. I mean, think about it. Applying a new tool directly to the homework that was frustrating them an hour ago, it completely changes their emotional relationship with learning.
So, what exactly are those tools? Once the data is analyzed, READLIGHT deploys specific research-backed strategies to overcome those exact deficiencies.
This toolkit is massive. It includes things like activating prior knowledge before reading, utilizing think-aloud strategies to literally slow down the brain's processing speed, identifying keywords, employing visualization techniques, and mapping out complex info visually using graphic organizers. It's this vast, dynamic arsenal, and the tutor selects the exact right tool for the job.
Okay, on to Section 4, Data-Driven Progress Monitoring.
In a truly scientific approach to literacy, that initial assessment, that's really only the very beginning of the student's journey. You have to constantly measure the impact of the intervention, and this brilliantly illustrates the continuous scientific feedback loop READLIGHT uses. Tutors don't just teach, they actively collect data during every single lesson, observing, taking reading samples, checking comprehension. Then, they track this progress against established goals. And most importantly, step 3, they adjust instruction in real time based on that data. This ensures students master skills efficiently. Those who get it quickly can move ahead, while those who need more practice get targeted intervention instantly. It literally stops educational gaps from widening.
So what does this data-driven journey actually look like from day one? Well, it's a very structured path. First, registration, then a virtual meeting with a tutoring director and getting scheduled. But the absolute crucial moment is step 4, setting specific measurable goals. Before the real work even begins, concrete benchmarks for areas like phonemic awareness, vocabulary, or writing are established. The science of progress tracking is baked into the very foundation from day one. Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, Tools for Literacy Success. Data and strategy are absolutely essential, for sure, but you still need high-quality physical tools in the student's hands. READLIGHT utilizes a sheer variety of evidence-based materials. We're talking leveled readers for the appropriate challenge and phonics letter tiles. They even use morphology instruction, which actually simply means teaching students how words are built using prefixes, suffixes, and root words. It's essentially hacking the DNA of the English language. And they combine all these technical tools with high-interest student-centered fiction and nonfiction texts. To keep that motivation high.
Let's bring it all back to our visual metaphor for a second. READLIGHT's proven approach isn't just one single thing. It's a powerful, scientific blend. It's comprehensive pre-assessment, targeted strategies tailored to a student's own academic material, ongoing real-time data collection, and regular communication with parents. It's an entire system designed to take academic blind spots and bring them entirely into the light.
Which leaves us with this final thought. We've seen the science, the strategies, and the data. Reading struggles are not a permanent condition. Okay? They're really just a cognitive puzzle waiting for the right analytical tools. So ask yourself, or maybe think about the learners in your own life. What could the right, targeted science illuminate about your own potential? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll see you next time.